Over the past year since I've been making videos on YouTube, I've had quite a few people ask me how I got into the cherry picker business. So in this video, I'm going to share my full story. I'm going to explain how I got started, the machines that I owned, how much it cost to get set up, realistically what you could expect to earn owning and operating a cherry picker business, and all the secrets of the trade. So if that is something that might interest you, stick around because I'm going to reveal it all in this video. Before I got into the cherry picker business, I used to do all kinds of repairs and maintenance on the exterior of properties. I soon discovered that you could always find work on a roof. So I bought myself a set of 15mm ladders, told my customers we could now reach even higher heights. They seemed to like it. And all of a sudden, we got known for being able to carry out work at heights. We became heights specialists. I don't know if you've ever tried to set up a set of 15-meter ladders, but they are heavy and difficult to work with. And I soon realized that this was unsustainable. So I bought myself my first cherry picker. It was an ex-BT van with a cherry picker mounted on the back of it. It was supposed to go to 13.5 meters up. Realistically, it could only do about 10 because the thing was knackered. However, it did show me the potential that cherry pickers had and paved the way for future machines. Now that transit lasted me about 6 months before it was condemned by the Lola man. It was beyond repair. But we'd proven the theory, we knew that it worked, so I went out and bought myself a 20-meter CTE machine, which was mounted to a Nissan Cabstar. The Cabstar was rough, but it lasted 3 years, and by the end of it, had a piece of perspex duct taped to the passenger side window where a flying tile had gone through it. It had a manhole lid underneath the driver's seat to cover over the big rotten hole that you could see straight through onto the road. It was a bag of bolts. It was knackered, but it proved the concept. Cherry pickers was definitely the way forward for me. And I'd started to build a decent customer base for people needing work at heights and people needing cherry pickers. The word was out that I'd got a cherry picker and the phone was ringing. Now the Cabstar was on its last legs. It was knackered, and I jokingly said to the wife, who incidentally is my business partner and in charge of all the finances, perhaps we should buy a spider machine. She, not joking, said, why don't you look into it? So I did. I ended up at Promax in Barnsley looking at the Platform Basket 1890 Pro Spider Cherry Picker. The machine at the time cost about 55k plus VAT. We had to put down 20k of our own money. We also needed 3.5k for the trailer and a further 15,000 for a Ford Ranger to move it around. Like I say, we had 20 grand that we put down and we had to borrow the rest. By the time it was all paid off, after 5 years, the loan itself cost us 20 grand, but it was a decent investment and it's proved itself a good idea. As you can imagine, that was quite a significant financial commitment. However, the repayments were spread out over manageable monthly repayments, which we managed to pay off while earning a living at the same time. We managed to pay off all the debts after 5 years and it worked out pretty well. Most of my work nowadays is on chimneys and roofs around Nottinghamshire, but occasionally I do travel further afield for jobs, particularly if I don't need to travel to quote for them. There are quite a few ongoing costs to running a cherry picker business. These include fuel, insurance, storage, materials, accountants, small tools, wages, and many other things that you don't really think about that's involved in running a business. However, the best part of my job is the flexibility it allows me. Most mornings I'm able to feed my baby daughter breakfast, and quite often I'll get home in time to walk my daughter home from school. The cherry picker business earns me a good living and a nice lifestyle without having to do crazy hours. The hardest part of running a cherry picker business, fixing roofs and chimneys and doing work like this, is the inconsistency of work. When the weather's warm and sunny, the work dries up. This is the perfect time to be carrying out work on a roof, but we don't generally have much of it to do. When the weather's bad, rainy and windy, the work goes crazy and we get overwhelmed. Often, our customers don't understand that I can't be everywhere at once, and it can be quite stressful at times. You want to talk about money. How much do we earn? I can understand that. On an average week, we'll invoice £3,300. Now, on our best week, we've invoiced £8,000. But on our worst week, when the machine's broken or there isn't much work to do, we'll invoice nothing. So this is taken as an average throughout the whole year. How much did I earn last year? Between me and my wife, we took home £45,000. This is not easy money. This is a lifestyle business. but it affords me the freedom to come and go as I please. Like I say, I get to feed my daughter breakfast in the morning and pick my other daughter up from school. So this is something that is really quite important to me. I get to live life on my own terms. So what do you need to consider before rushing out and buying a cherry picker? I'd say the first and most important thing is, do you have the work for it? I've found my machine needs to be working most days, otherwise it will just be bleeding money left, right and centre. You can soon find yourself in financial troubles if you don't have enough work for the expensive piece of kit that needs maintaining behind me. Have you considered where you're going to keep the machine? Now, it's all right having a big piece of kit, but it needs to live somewhere. Not everybody's got the luxury of a big driveway, and sometimes the neighbours don't appreciate you putting a big red machine or other machine on your driveway. Behind me is a big shed. I call it the chicken shed. For the past 8.5 years, I've rented this shed off a farmer, and it's cost me £7,500 per year to set up camp on this farm. Do you have the means to move the cherry picker around? I use a Toyota Hilux, and this was factored into the cost of setting up the entire business. But it's not just about buying a cherry picker. You also need a truck and a trailer to get it around. If you go for something bigger than my machine, you're going to need a low loader and the license to drive it. It's also worth considering, can you cover the hidden costs? There's insurance, you need to get a Lola. There's also servicing and breakdown when it goes wrong. Also, if you break the machine, it can be quite expensive to repair. This slew ring holding the boom to the machine costs £3,500 to replace. I'm on my third. I've done it twice. The tracks, they are £600 a piece. This is the second set. The basket, that's £1,500. That is my second basket. Even things like the spreader pads can be expensive at £60 a piece. So you don't want to be losing them, and you want to make sure you can cover the cost of replacing them should you need to. The next thing to consider is, are you trained to do the job? To operate a static boom like mine, you need a Class 1B IPAS certification, and you need the insurance to do it. This is not a massive barrier to entry. The IPAS training will take you a day and it will cost you about 150 quid, but it is something that you need to get done in order to start your business. Also, are you prepared for the downtime? When the weather turns or your machine breaks down, you will be sat twiddling your thumbs potentially. This can be expensive, and it's something you need to factor into your business when looking at the finances. It's something you need to be prepared for. Can you afford not to be working? If I was asked what I would do differently if I was to start all over again, I think I probably would have spent more money on my first machine so that I wouldn't have had to have replaced it so quickly. It's all right buying cheap, but when you do that with machines that have moving parts, you usually have to buy twice or even 3 times. I would recommend spending as much money on the machine as you can afford, get the best machine you can, and keep it well maintained so that it can earn you lots of money and cost you as little as possible in the long run. So there you are, that's my story. That's how I've gone from a set of 15-metre ladders to a beaten up old Transit to a Cabstar with a hole underneath the driver's seat to the setup I have today. Hopefully this has given you a good insight into the costs, risks and rewards to running a cherry picker business. And if you've got any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments. If you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more cherry picker and roofing related content. Thanks for watching.